Someone needs to give Prime Minister Justin Trudeau an Oscar because there's something so enjoyable about him trying to generate faux outrage at his own plans backfiring on him. I'm not sure if you've heard about it, but Bell Canada is cutting over 4,000 jobs in their organization because despite all of the government wage subsidies and other subsidies to their Canadian news programming, it's all losing money. Government subsidies do not actually make organizations profitable. If anything, it actually gets them to double down on the sorts of things that were making them lose money in the first place. And Bell Canada is experiencing this in a very hard way, and they're realizing that they just have to cut this stuff. They're cutting morning and noon hour CTV news programming. They're cutting out a lot of other news shows, television shows, Canadian media type stuff, because it's simply not even worth the subsidies. So watch this press answer that Justin Trudeau gave. Outraged that Bell Canada would do this at all. He can't understand why they wouldn't just do more propaganda for him, because that's really what he's mad about. He's mad that they're not going to do more propaganda. Look at this.
This is a garbage decision by a corporation that should...
Oh, a garbage decision. By a corporation, no doubt.
know better. We have seen over the past years journalistic outlets, radio stations, small community newspapers bought up by corporate entities.
Yes, because you make it impossible to operate in Canada. So they get bought up by larger corporations who can handle the regulations until they can't, like Bell Media, and then they just cut stuff. Oh, goodness. Man, Justin, look at your own regulations.
Who then lay off journalists, change the offering, the quality of offering to people. And then when people don't watch as much or engage as much, the corporate entity says, oh, see, they're not profitable anymore. We're going to sell them off.
Yes. When people do not watch the programming, the ads fall in quality and advertisers won't pay as much for them. Unless you're willing to give them each $1 billion, all the media corporations, and then give the CBC another $500 million like they're asking for, they're not going to be able to keep these programs. Justin Trudeau is basically saying, well, why aren't they doing my propaganda at a loss? They're already getting a lot of money, but it just demonstrates that liberal propaganda is so unappealing, people are just not even bothering to watch. And he's saying, why won't they lose money for me? Don't they love me? Don't they know that I'm basically their dad at this point? How could they attack their dad like this? Like Justin Trudeau's faux outrage. It's give him an Oscar. He's like Daniel Day-Lewis in There Will Be Blood, or Anthony Hopkins in Remains of the Day. It's so subtle yet intense.
This is the erosion, not just of journalism, of quality local journalism, at a time where people need it more than ever, given misinformation and disinformation.
By you.
But it's eroding our very democracy.
It's eroding
our abilities to tell stories to each other of how people's lives are. Stories that reflect our own communities and not, central offices in our biggest cities.
Central offices.
Is part of what binds this country together from coast to coast.
If you watch all of this liberal government subsidized media, it is the Toronto bubble. That is what the media reflects. Oh no, but we want to tell each other stories like we're sitting around the campfire. Oh, we need more stories from Brooks. We need more stories from High Level Alberta, from Sudbury or whatever. Like no one's actually making that stuff because that stuff's even less profitable. Local media only works when there is profit incentive, and all these corporations are not doing these local stories. Have you ever watched the CBC? It's all just things that people like hyper liberal people in Toronto care about. That's why nobody watches anymore. But like his faux outrage, like, oh, they're not telling stories from small communities, from local communities. They never did that. Yeah, they throw a feels good story in there every once in a while to pretend like they care about your small town, but they don't. They only ever report on stuff that people in like Bay Street care about, people in downtown Montreal care about.
The coast, with incredible diversity of experiences, of geographies, we need those.
We need different versions of Marxism on TV. We need a diversity of Marxism.
Corporate Canada. And there are many culprits on this.
Including myself. I am also a culprit because, I was funding them and I was telling them the sort of propaganda I wanted them to make, and I caused these job losses because I've forced them to be unprofitable, which is what he should say if he was honest. But whatever. I think his performance is still better than mine.
Have abdicated their responsibility toward the communities that they have always made very good profits off of in various ways.
Profits,
and
disgusting.
They need, like, as a government, we have been stepping up over the past years, fighting for local journalism, fighting for investments that we can have. All the way.
I can't even post myself on Facebook anymore.
Conservatives and others who say,
like, let me pause that. Sorry, I'll bring them back a bit, but like, I can't even post stuff on Facebook anymore, and I feel pretty local. I'm a guy sitting in a basement right now. I feel pretty local, and I can't even access my 75,000 follower Facebook page anymore. I had more traction than many large corporate media outlets, and Justin Trudeau, in a fake, false attempt to get journalists money, is extorting Facebook into making it so expensive that I'm not even allowed to access my Facebook page anymore. And I don't blame Mark Zuckerberg or Facebook. They're just doing what they have to do. They're not going to be extorted for millions of dollars a year. 56 million is what they estimated that had to pay to keep their news online. So Justin Trudeau will be like, oh, I can't believe they're letting down local journalism. That was you. You're the one like letting down local journalism. The only thing you've done for local journalism is done wage subsidies so that places like the CBC can hire more liberal journalists in small local areas. That's not local journalism. That's corporate journalism who has an employee in, like, Blackie, Alberta. That isn't local journalism. That's just hiring a corporate guy who works from home in a small town.
Attacks from conservatives and others who say, no, you're trying to buy off journalists. We're trying to support journalism in this country.
I like how he even brought it up. Dude, shut up. If I'm his communications team, I would have hauled him hauled him away from the podium and said, never talk about buying off journalists, even if you're denying it. Never invoke the idea of bribing journalists. It never worked when you made jokes about it, and it's not working when you're trying to hand wave it away. We're not buying them off. We're just giving them a lot of money and expecting that they're not going to do anything too pro-liberal. We're just funding local journalism. But if the conservatives get in, you might not get the money anymore. So, act accordingly. That's effectively the wink and nod that happens when the liberals give money to local journalists, CBC affiliates, global news affiliates, CTV news affiliates. That's what happens.
Across this country, but no government can do it alone. Canadians need to demand better, as we will be demanding.
Yeah, it's your guys' fault. You're not demanding better. The CBC fell in quality not because of his subsidies, not because of his taxpayer money being given to them and them been turned into liberal pablum spewers. It's your fault for not demanding that they be high enough quality. No liberal policy fails on its own terms. It always fails because you didn't try hard enough for Justin Trudeau. You're all going to get a cut in your pay because I guess he's from what Justin Trudeau's saying, I'm an employee of the Liberal Party and I was supposed to try harder to make sure that we kept quality up. I'm not responsible for the corporate media that you subsidize. They're responsible for themselves, and you're partially responsible for them because you keep saddling them with subsidies that if they want, they have to do what you say.
Demanding better from corporate leaders, like in this case, Bell, that are eroding Canadians' ability to know each other.
Eroding. I don't even know anyone anymore.
To trust each other and to trust in the country and the future we are building together.
Look, I don't even know who I am since Bell Canada decided they were going to cut these things because there wasn't enough Canadian stories floating around the ether. There wasn't enough stories about, I don't even know. I don't watch the CBC or Global. It's terrible. I tried to watch a friend on the CBC the other day, Raheem Mohammed, really good friend. He was debating Rachel Gilmore on CBC News. So I had to download the CBC Gem app, which made my eyes bleed just to have to do that little bit. And just to watch his segment where he was talking with Rachel and another guest, who's some guy I actually sometimes like to watch his interviews. He's decently interesting. Forget his name. Terribly sorry to him. I had to watch 17 of the exact same advertisements over and over again to even get to the segment. it's not only is government subsidized media boring, they don't even have the common courtesy to at least reduce the amount of ads. Like the CBC gets, I know this is not Bell Canada. I'm not talking about Bell Canada anymore. The CBC gets $1.4 billion a year, and somehow I still need to watch 20 ads at probably more like 25, because I didn't even get through the entire 45-minute show of all the different segments they had. I had to watch like legitimately 12 minutes of ads to get to like the 25-minute mark of it to see my friend on the show, and I even had to watch a bunch of ads halfway through the segment. I know some of you will say, well, I had to watch ads to watch you on YouTube. At least you can skip them. These are like 45-second ads, and you got to watch 3 of them in a row multiple times throughout the one show on the CBC. The CBC is horrible, and it's because of Justin Trudeau. If the CBC was privatized, they would actually probably figure out how to be profitable, and they would keep on living. Right now, what Justin Trudeau is doing with media subsidies is actually guaranteeing a lot of these media companies never bounce back, because his subsidies are poison-pilled. It's made their content boring. It's made advertisers dry up. And once all the subsidies go away, they're not going to be able to have any reserve of an audience left to bring people back, because people in Canada have just learned that TV sucks. Why bother with TV? Why bother with corporate news online? I'm going to watch independent media, or I'm just going to watch something else. I'm going to watch entertainment on Netflix. That's effectively what Trudeau's trained people to do. Who cares about whatever's going on the CTV newscast? It's boring garbage. It's pablum. It's the same story over and over again from a liberal selection biased perspective, where yes, they technically sound neutral while they cover the story, but they leave out all the facts that would maybe take you into that would make you, go towards a conclusion that wasn't liberal approved. Ugh, disgusting, annoying. Anyways, like I always do, I just want to quickly plug the fact that I, Wyatt Claypool, am running for the Calgary Signal Hill Conservative Party nomination. So if you live in this riding, it's on the west side of Calgary. Buy a Conservative membership. Go visit my website, wyattclaypool.com. Sign up on the website, buy a membership, and make sure you vote for me number 1 on your ballot whenever the nomination date is set. We don't know when it's going to be at, probably after April when riding boundaries change. That's all. Yeah, so it'll take a while for us to even figure out when it is, but buy your membership now, just a 1 year, and you'll be good. And then I also have my legal defense fund in the description below. It's a Give, Send, Go link. There's some like a little bit of a description of what's going on with this developer suing us over complete nonsense. If you want to give us some money, it really helps reduce the burden of costs on us. We've had to pay over $25,000 defending ourselves. We're going to win, but because Alberta does not have anti-SLAPP laws, I cannot get this case dismissed early. So we've been having to fight it out way longer than we should. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. You're amazing. Like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for following the National Telegraph, and I'll be back with another video very soon.